So, as we all know, anyone in my audience is aware of this. We talk about it all the time on the show. AOC is the architect of World War III. We know that. We know that for a fact. Obviously, she voted to fund Ukrainian Nazis, which, you know, even though it's only about 1 to 2% of the National Guard, is the most important thing imaginable. And we also know that AOC was secretly working behind the scenes with the deep state, the CIA, the FBI. They're all working with AOC. AOC is basically, she is the architect of World War III. Now you might be thinking, World War III hasn't even happened yet. Well, depends. You know, I personally, we're in World War III, right? We're in it right now. So anyway, let's watch this like really interesting clip. This is a very interesting clip. And I've got AOC's response here lined up, and it's going to be great. So AOC is pro-war. She is a war hawk. She loves war. I think she like plays on, she has like an Instagram or whatever, and on her Instagram, what she does is she like paints Warhammer figures and like describes like how much she wishes she could go to war in real life. She's just a huge fan of war, right? She watches Save It and Private Ryan like at least 3 times a week. She loves war. She's a huge fan. So anyway, here's some folks. I love how this is called, by the way. Democratic Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez confronted by anti-war protesters. I mean, like, that's the thing with language, right? Like, we don't have a standardized set of language in this country, in the world. There is not a single language that exists that actually can convey information properly from one group to another, right? Like, to be very serious on this one, to stop with the jokes a little bit, in no way, shape, or form are these protesters anti-war protesters. You know, like, that's not a thing. Okay, I'm sorry. These people are, this is militant disinformation that they've been the victims of. Right now, again, these people are linked to some neo-Nazi organization that is hosting some event to, I don't know, some event to, like, stop climate action or some shit. Like, I don't know. I didn't look into it too much, I will be honest. Someone sent me some info dump that they're connected to, like, some, like, it's a literal fascist event. They've got, like, Tucker Carlson adjacent, you know, like, right-wing Trumpers. Like, they name-drop Tulsi Gabbard, right? These are not by no stretch of any definition of any word that means anything even slightly synonymous with war, are these people anti-war in any capacity. So with that being said, let's watch this clip, because it's entertaining. It's pretty good. Let's watch.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine.
So first of all, like, you know, my opinion, okay, I understand you're heated, right? You're excited, right? And you can't really facilitate the collection of words that would make an English sentence, right? But, like, I love how, like, but, like, you know, you'd think your opening salvo would be, like, practiced. You'd think you know what you're going to say before you start, right? Like, I get it. You're in the middle of a heated exchange. You know, you fumble on your words. That's fine. But, like, just, like, the first couple of words and sentences out of this guy's mouth doesn't really, like, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, check this out.
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war.
So none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war? Now, again, what they're talking about is, according to AOC, they're talking about, I don't know, something to do with, like, community outreach. I don't know. But none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war? Like, I don't know, man. Stumble over your words a little bit. And then, like, the non sequitur. So nothing matters unless there's a nuclear war? Is that them advocating in favor of a nuclear war? I'm not sure. But let's keep going.
Which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left.
So, okay, that's the thing that's great. Okay, so she voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Okay. And then Tulsi Gabbard. What? What? Like, again, you'd think if you were sincerely anti-war, right? If you actually gave a shit about stopping the war, like, you wouldn't be fucking name dropping Tulsi Gabbard, right? Like, Like, I don't know, man. Like, really, these people are uneducated. And I'll get into why momentarily. But let's keep going. We're only 10 seconds in, so let's.
That's the Democratic Party because they're a bunch of war hawks. Okay, you originally voted. You ran as an outsider.
So okay, she left the Democratic Party because they're war hawks. Okay. Well, Tulsi Gabbard right now is campaigning for some like neo-Nazi Trump candidate in like New Hampshire right now. So if she were like leaving the Democratic Party and then like shunning the Republican Party, right? And saying like both of these parties are corrupt, we got to end the duopoly, I'd at least like take her more seriously. But the fact that she's going out there and campaigning for Republicans, which are worse on the war, they are worse. They want a more direct engagement in every conflict. They want to start more wars. You know what I mean? So, and now again, if you want to criticize AOC for voting for Ukrainian weapon package, you can do that without supporting a right winger who's even more like Tulsi Gabbard loves to pretend like she's anti-war, right? And then she goes around and supports like a fucking like fascist in India, right? That's like waging some like cultural fucking genocide going on in India. But she's anti-war. I'm anti-war. You know, I'm anti-war, except, you know, I support countries having a war on their own citizens, you know? So, I don't know. It's a little strange. But anyway, again, this is less about Tulsi and more about these fucking morons. Like, again, I really need you to understand there is militant disinformation. That's what this is, right? This is militant disinformation. This is like disinformation that gets people triggered and really upset and willing to do things over shit that doesn't exist and isn't real, right? Like the idea of voting for a Ukrainian defense package being equivalent to starting World War III, that's crazy shit. Crazy shit. Again, let's keep going.
Yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine.
There has been 0 votes that AOC has cast that starts a war with the United States and Ukraine in Russia. That has not happened. There are 0 votes that AOC has cast that started a war between Ukraine and Russia. They don't exist. Now again, you can disagree with the defensive weapons packages. That's fine. I disagree with you. I think it's perfectly okay to send people defensive weapons. If we were to send defensive weapon packages to Hamas in Palestine, I would support that. So, I don't know, man. Just throwing that out there. But if we were to send defensive weapons packages to indigenous populations in Brazil that are getting their lands destroyed by wildfires, you know, with Bolsonaro's contracted private development firms, you know what I mean? So, you know, hey, I support defensive weapons in general. I love supporting defensive weapons. I think self-defense is one of the best things in the world. That's my opinion. But let's keep going.
Voting to start a third nuclear war with Russia and China.
So a third nuclear war. Now, to my understanding, the only nuclear war we've had was World War II. So unless maybe the Cold War counts, is the Cold War a nuclear war? It's just that we didn't drop any nukes, but it was a nuclear war. You know, you can make the debate, but a third nuclear war? You know, what? And again, when did AOC, what package is this vote to start a third nuclear war? Like, I don't know, man. Like, that's the thing. Like, what are these people talking about? Like, she voted on a defensive weapons package. Now, again, if you don't like that, okay. But, like, you cannot like that without lying about. Like, she did not vote on the act. The U.S. is going to support Ukraine so that we can weaken Russia and then bomb them to hell act. She did not vote yes on that. I don't even think that act exists.
Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward.
So Ukrainian Nazis, again, these, like, again, I need you to understand about militant disinformation. This is militant disinformation, right? Ukrainian Nazis is like saying, oh, well, there's terrorists in Palestine, so, you know, Israel's the good guy because someone in Hamas, like, used a child as a body shield, and so that makes Israel the good guys. They're going in to denazify Palestine? What? You know, like, that's like saying, oh, well, the Taliban's really bad, so I support the U.S. invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan and support killing 1 million innocent civilians because the Taliban's bad? Yeah. The Taliban is so bad that let's go in there and murder a bunch of kids and civilians because the Taliban. Woo! Like, again, we have the numbers on this. The Azov Battalion is 2%. 2% of the National Guard. Now, is it a bad thing that the National Guard has open neo-Nazis in it? Yeah. Yeah, it is a bad thing. That sucks that the Ukrainian military has neo-Nazis in it. But guess what? By percentage points, the Russian military and the Russian military's contracted private military groups that it uses in this war, percentage-wise, more Nazis in the Russian military. The Russian military is also bigger in population. There are more numbers in the Russian military, right? So not only is the percentage share of Nazis in the Russian military larger, but the amount of people in the Russian military is larger. There are more Nazis in the Russian military than there are in the Ukrainian military. Now, again, does it suck? Absolutely. If I was in Congress, I would have wanted to vote for something that specifically tries to say Azov Battalion cannot gain access to this stuff. That's what I would say. So that's a criticism. Okay, we can criticize that. That said, to talk about how giving money to Ukraine is giving money to Nazis is just wrong. Like, we have Nazis in our National Guard. Every country has Nazis in their military. You want to know why? The military is inherently a right-wing institution. A lot of right-wingers and Nazis go to the military because they think it's cool. So, look at what went on in Italy. Someone who praised Mussolini just won the election in Italy. Should we go invade Italy now because there's Nazis in the government? Like, I don't know what the argument is, right? There's 2% of the military has neo-Nazis in it. That's a problem. That's bad. They should eliminate those members of the military. That said, just because and again, 2%, I'm going to be honest with you, 2%, that's low as fuck. Look at the American military. If you want to ask me a question, how many Nazis are in the American military, I would guess a lot more than 2%. I would guess a lot more than 2%. If you wanted me to guess how many Nazis are police officers in the U.S., I would guess way bigger than 2%. Right? So, again, it's a problem. It's bad. Should we have designed the packages in a way that the Azov Battalion guys didn't get a large amount of the weapons? Sure. I can agree with that. But guess what? None of that is being said by these motherfuckers, right? These stupid motherfuckers, again, are militantly disinformed. They're just saying whatever was in the latest Putin speech. And I know these motherfuckers, these crybaby bitches, these baby back, bitch ass, crybaby fucking beta male fuck faces get so triggered when you call them like Russian disinformation agents, right? Oh, I'm so triggered when you call me a Russian bot. Bro, you act like a Russian bot. This is a Putin speech. Like, you're just giving a Putin speech. It would be like if you went to like fucking somewhere in like Iraq and was like, you got weapons of mass destruction, bro. Like, and then you shot like some random 6-year-old or something. Like militantly disinformed. Like, you are yelling at the wrong people about something that doesn't even exist. That someone who's even worse than what you're trying to, like, everything you're trying to say about AOC, the guy you're getting your info from is way worse. You know what I mean? Like, so I just, dumb motherfuckers.
You're a progressive socialist? Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts.
Tulsi Gabbard, I got news for y'all. These guys, they might not know this. Tulsi Gabbard, not in Congress. She gave up. She left. She's not in Congress. So how could she show guts? She's not there. Now, again, when I use the term militant disinformation, right? That's what this is. Like, these guys are doing something. Let's be honest. What these guys are doing is extremely brave. It is. It is. Regardless of whether or not you agree with them. They are extremely brave. Getting up in the middle of a meeting like this and yelling at a politician, it's brave. Right? I'm not going to lie. That's brave. And it sucks that they're doing something like this that is such a brave action for no reason. Like, it would be like if I got up at an AOC fucking, constituency event and started screaming, "You said that you liked cornflakes, and I personally prefer Lucky Charms, and I think that," it would be brave to get up there and scream, at an event where you're obviously not supposed to do that. But, you should scream about something that matters. Instead they're just, saying whatever, Vladimir Putin said in the last speech, just going there and screaming about nothing. And again, it gets even worse. It really gets even worse. The longer that they go on, the dumber that they get. So check this out.
You've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless...
You are the so, okay. How is AOC the establishment? Let's follow the logic of this argument. So, argument is that AOC is part of the establishment and therefore is responsible for nuclear war. So how is AOC part of the establishment? She voted for defensive weapon shipments. That makes her part of the establishment. And being part of the establishment means that AOC is an architect of nuclear war. What? What?
You choose to stand up right now and denounce the Democratic Party. Will you do that? Yes or no? Okay, simple. Are you going to stop nuclear war? Yes or no?
I love this. This is this guy's idea. This is this guy's idea of owning a politician. Are you going to stop nuclear war? What is AOC supposed to say? Yeah, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to put on my cape, fly through the sky, and stop the nuclear war. And again, but these guys, they went down some fucking right-wing pipeline, right? And they think that they're, speaking up for, people. I got news for you. I got news. This, weird, this, pretending to be a left-winger while saying a bunch of right-wing talking points grift, the Tulsi Gabbard, the Jimmy Dore, right, the Gray Zone, all these people. This weird thing where you use, left-wing language but make right-wing arguments. That is a very, small actual part of the population, right? There is a large amount of the population that don't give a fuck and that know nothing, right? That is the majority of people, right? I would say the second biggest group are liberals, that are nominally in favor of decent things but haven't really looked into stuff. I would say the third biggest group are Republicans. They just hate, they're bigots, right? Every Republican is a racist. That's factual. Cry about it. Every Republican is a homophobic bigot, transphobic bigot. They're all garbage, okay? That, I would say, is probably the third most popular group in the United States. It sucks that that's the case, but it is. I wouldn't even say that this group is the fourth, fifth, or sixth. This is an extremely small fucking group of people that, care about dressing up right-wing arguments in a left-wing language. That is an extremely small group of people. Right? That is a very small group of people. Why is that? Why is that a small group of people? Because these people needed to undergo a specific political transformation that is extremely rare, right? What they needed to do was get into politics at a time when Bernie Sanders was popular, right? These are not old school leftists, you know, like these are kids in this clip. These are fucking like people my age, right? These are not people that were like left wingers in the 1970s, right? Like, so Bernie Sanders runs for president in 2016. They probably go like, oh, that's great. Tulsi Gabbard, right, supports Bernie in 2016 because it's a pretty easy choice. You're telling me Tulsi Gabbard is brave for choosing Bernie over Hillary? That's an easy choice. Anyone under the age of fucking 60 could have seen that as a career move. Like, that shows nothing. Like, I know people, like, think that Tulsi is, like, some brave hero for endorsing Sanders in 2016. That's a duh. That's a duh. Like, she's pretty young. You have to understand, Tulsi is relatively young compared to a lot of Democratic politicians. It's a duh to go with Sanders over Hillary. That's a duh, right? You don't need, like, if blatant career opportunity, it's an easy choice. Okay, so let's throw that in. But again, so these people were left-wingers at one point, right? And so that's why their political transformation is so specific, and that's why it's so unpopular, right? Most people don't become left-wingers and then slowly morph into right-wingers, but still use leftist language. Most people are either leftist, they don't give a fuck, they're liberals, or they're racists. Those are the main groups, right? But this is like this weird, like, you know, like they're playing around with all the color paint, right? And they're like trying to make a new color kind of shit, right? And it's so unpopular and almost everyone tunes out that, again, but yet they're so passionate about it. Like, that's the thing. Like, they're so passionate about doing nothing. Like, they're not doing anything. AOC is not the architect of World War. Like, she's not. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know, go after Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is the Senate Majority Leader. He's in New York. You don't have to fly to California to go harass Pelosi or some shit. Go harass Chuck Schumer. That's the thing. Harassing AOC over this, like, what are they... What the fuck? What the fuck?
There is no line because this is bullshit. None of this matters if we're all dead. None of it. You know that. Then let's take it up right now because this is the only thing that matters. This is the only thing that matters right now. We could be in a nuclear war at any minute and you continue to fund it. That's what's going on.
So once again, if the only thing that matters is nuclear war, I would not be going to an AOC event. I would be going to Washington, D.C. I would be going to Chuck Schumer's events. I'd be going to Nancy Pelosi, but obviously she does stuff in California, right? So, like, I don't know, really, these, like, this is like the logical extension of like the force the vote stuff, right? Right, like, this is someone that was watching Jimmy Dore, saw Force the Vote, and was like, oh, AOC has all this power that she's secretly not using. And then that becomes part of the mythology. Like, one of the core tenets of fascism is, like, obsession with a narrative, obsession with a mythology, right? Like, every action that these, like, grifters use and do and perform, all of it's performative, all of it's theater, like Tulsi Gabbard doing this, like, podcast show about leaving the Democratic Party, the Force the Vote bullshit, all of these, like, fake events, right? What it does is it builds up a core mythology, right? A story that these people are being told and that they're telling themselves and that they want to participate in. They want to participate in, like, a historical story, right? That, like, they think that they're going to be participants in this story and it's going to, like, change something, or they're going to be proven right in some way, right? But ultimately, none of this matters, right? Like, that's the thing with, like, the Force the Vote people. Like, I get people coming to my chat room going, like, oh, Force the Vote was correct and we're seeing that now. And it's like, okay, let's imagine Force the Vote is correct. It would have to be anything to be correct at, right? Like, it really wasn't anything to be correct. And, like, that's like saying, like, I made orange juice for breakfast. Correct. What? I mean, like, what is it? what is that being correct? It's just like so there's not even like a correct or incorrect thing, right? So, but anyway, and so like again, but it doesn't mean anything. Okay, let's assume force the vote, whatever this means to be correct, it's correct. Okay, now what? Okay, force the vote's correct. Now what? All right, AOC is the architect of nuclear war. Now what? What do we do with this information? How do we act on this information? Right? You know, like...
Why not right now?
So AOC here, it's hard to see her or hear her, but this is what she's trying to say. The worst part, which of course they cut from the clip, is the fact that they were yelling over a deaf constituent asking a question and continued to do so when it was made clear to them that they were yelling over a person with a disability. Now, everyone and their fucking mothers crying, identity politics, identity politics. Like, yeah, caring about what deaf people might want is identity politics. Oh.
You're the liar here. Nobody has held you accountable.
So again, first of all, what has AOC lied about? What is the lie? Like, if she's voting to fund nuclear war, like, she would have to say that she's not voting to fund nuclear war. But then that would make her lie. What has she lied about? But again, this is another one. Holding you accountable. This is like a phrase that people use all over the place. Not just with politicians, but with all kinds of people. Right? People love, and again, it goes with the fascist obsession with the narrative, the fascist obsession with mythology. Oh, we're not harassing people. We're holding them accountable. What does that mean? What does it mean to hold someone accountable? Yelling at them in a public place, is that holding them accountable? Like, again, these phrases, this is what I talk about the English language on my show. Part one, there is no such thing as holding someone accountable. You either can or can't. And you know what the core factor is here? Is the person. In order for someone to be held to account, to be held accountable, what they need to do is listen to your argument, agree with your argument, and change their perspective. Right? That would be holding someone to account. That would be holding them accountable. Right? When you're not making an argument, you can't really hold someone accountable because they can't agree with something because you're not making an argument. Right? But again, they're obsessed with it because they think that it's like I guarantee you, right? These motherfuckers, I guarantee you they are basking in their media coverage. We held AOC accountable. They're going to go on the Jimmy Dore show. Yeah, when we held her accountable, we were the first people to... Like, this is part of their story. They're going to be telling this shit to their grandkids. That time we held AOC accountable. You know what I mean? Like, but like, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean? Like, is anyone ever going to have a conversation about what it means to hold someone to account? Like, great. No one's held AOC accountable until now. Now she's been held accountable. Now what?
That's what's happening. And it is time for you to stand up and realize that what you've been saying has been lies. Let your conscience come through for once.
And this guy is going to come up. And then that guy's going to come up and say, all right, we've had enough here. We've had enough. Bye-bye. I don't know, man. Like, again, like, the world, like, we just have some stupid motherfuckers running around this world, let me tell you. I really don't have much else to say on this subject, but some really stupid motherfuckers. But once again, to go on about militant disinformation, right? And it's the fascist obsession with the narrative, right? It's the fascist obsession with mythology. It's building the story. They want to build a story, right? And that's why this group is so unpopular, is because their story is so like hyper specific, right? And then you can't really expand on it, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, it's hard to get new people into this pipeline because it requires them to have had a very specific political like evolution of like being apolitical, going into Bernie Sanders, and then going into this weird like left-wing language, right-wing argument grift, right? Like you can get right-wingers to support Jimmy Dore, but they're not going to be like this brand, right? They're just going to be right-wingers, right? And so like that's the thing, like this brand, the way that they describe things, the way that they use this language is so unpopular. And like it's just annoying. Like that's the other thing. It's just fucking annoying. Like it's annoying as fuck. Like these motherfuckers are annoying. And again, that's what like they're disinformed. They're just saying right-wing fucking imperialist actions. If anyone's pro-war, it's the motherfucker going out there saying Ukraine's full of Nazis. Ukraine's full of Nazis, really? Is Russia full of Nazis? Is Germany full of Nazis? Everyone in Germany is a Nazi? Really? Everyone in Italy is a Nazi? Is everyone in Japan a fascist? Are they? I don't know. Is everyone in the USA a Nazi? The Iraq war is bad, therefore all Americans are Nazis? I don't know. Like, if that's your argument, is that some government has a bad member of the government, and therefore everyone that lives in the country is evil. I mean, if that's your argument, again, it's not going to be popular. I'll tell you that much. So just throwing you out there with that one. But I invite these guys on my show. If anyone knows how to get them on my show, I would love to bring them on my show. That would be great. So there you go. There's the clip. There you go.